This is episode 16 with my guest Anna Hagopian, and we're talking about healing from chronic illness.
In the moment you're like, screw that, I don't need to know, like I'm tapping out, I'm throwing in the towel, I'm done with this. There's gifts, there's true gifts and blessings that come out of being sick.
Welcome back to the Living on Purpose podcast. This is your host, Katherine Ziegler. This is a place where we discuss the importance of purpose in our lives and connect with others that have created soul-aligned offerings that build into their own personal purpose. I'm so glad to have you on this episode. Don't forget to screenshot your favorite part. So if you just screenshot the time and then you can share with me what little gems you took from this episode, it would mean so much to me. Also, don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and I would love it if you would share the Living on Purpose podcast with others that you feel like it would resonate with. I'm so grateful to you and all of the amazing listeners for helping me to grow this podcast and share the guests that come on here and their messages with more people. We'll get back to the show. I'm here today with my friend Anna of Anna Hagopian Health. Anna has 20 plus years experience with nutrition and holistic healing. This is a path she began after health and digestive illnesses were crippling some of her family members' lives. In 2013, Anna co-founded a healthy food meal service, Paleo Fit Meals, with the motto, "Good health is freedom." In an effort to scale the company in 2016, she pivoted this business to Marabites, a clean label snack company specializing in whole ingredient, rich flavored cookies. Today, Anna devotes her time to helping guiding women heal chronic and mystery illnesses using the medical medium information. So Anna is here with us today. Thank you for being with us.
Hello.
I'm so glad to have you on. You know, I just love you, and it's always such a great time having these interviews with you. Anna and I have been friends for 15 years now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
It's been an incredible journey. I love it.
I wanted to have her come on to talk more about what her offerings are, and her purpose is just so profound. Some of you already know her and have heard her story, but it's just so beautiful. And she has helped me so much when I was going through some mystery illness. I was going through chronic hives, and doctors were telling me it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be the rest of your life. And Anna really came through to me, Anna really came through for me in a lot of ways in that situation where I was really scared and afraid and didn't have any other thing to do besides take Benadryl. So our friendship has just been something else, and I'm really grateful for her. And I just can't wait to share her story with you guys. So will you tell us more about your background and how coming into this healing journey began? If you want to start in the beginning, wherever you feel like is the best place to kind of take this story from.
Yeah. It goes really far back, actually. When I was a little girl, I was, I don't know, maybe 6 years old, and I was at the hospital with my family. We were visiting my brother, who was in the hospital for months at that time. And I remember seeing him in a wheelchair, skin and bones, and his body was just all black and blue. And as a child, you know, you don't fully understand things and you don't have a filter. And I clearly remember asking him, "Why are you all blue?" And really what I was saying is, "Why are you all bruised up?" But I didn't have the word bruised. And I also didn't understand his look that he gave me, but it was ingrained in my head forever. And as I got older and I was mature and I had the understanding of life and what that meant, it was basically just like sadness. Like, how can I explain to you, little girl, like what this is? This has been, you know, like torture as hell, really, you know. And he struggled all his life, and unfortunately he passed away a few years ago from complications of Crohn's disease. And so my brother was truly the impetus of my life's journey of seeing so much pain and suffering with not just him but many other family members, and just being so scared of like, I don't want to experience that. I don't want to endure that. What can I do? What's in my power that I can do differently to not have that sort of fate? And I know sometimes we're dealt, you know, our hand of cards in life, and it's how we choose to, you know, play our deck. But I knew at that time that as a little girl that that was something I didn't fully understand, but it felt so awful. Like it, I felt sad and I didn't know why. But then as I got older and I realized, that this is it. Fast forward to 14 years old, I didn't know where to begin. And so I started with literally lettuce and tomatoes. I was like, I don't know where to start, but I'm going to start with this. And I just
Mhm.
was eating only lettuce and tomato. And I knew that wasn't sustainable. I
Mhm.
knew that my family was like, you can't do that. That's not healthy. But I just was determined to find a way. And that's where my journey began, as to figuring out how food plays a role, on our health and our life.
That's so interesting, and I have 2 questions from that already. I mean, I love your story. What would you say because you've been through so much of this journey now and you've seen so many people that are not well and you've experienced it so profoundly on your own, how would you describe what he would have told you if he could explain when you asked him why he was blue? Have you summarized it into a word or a feeling, or is there some kind of I'm unwell, or I'm sick, or I'm struggling? Is there something that you would sort of characterize that as?
I just felt that it was sadness.
Mhm.
Sadness because, you're looking at this innocent little girl and you're trying to answer her, and it's like it was almost like his entire journey was showing up in his eyes, the
Mhm.
pain and the sadness. And I don't really remember his answer, to be honest with you, but I'll just never forget that look in his
Mhm.
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah. Sadness definitely resonates for me. It's just you feel like hopelessness or despair. You just don't know what to do. You feel lost and afraid, and
Yeah.
you don't know where to go. And I mean, when you're talking about when you were just eating lettuce and tomatoes, I know you so well now to know how strongly you feel about the importance of good food, and that good food is medicine and bad food is literally poison. And so for you at that age, lettuce and tomatoes were, I don't know what's going on, but something is not good for me. So I'm going to just decrease down to the basics.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately, I grew up eating a lot of junk food as a child, even though my parents came from Greece and they came from cooking Mediterranean food. My mother was an amazing cook. I We latched onto that American lifestyle where you're just eating chips and candy, and I it was really just, it was not good. But
Yeah.
and I knew that that wasn't good for me, and I felt it in my body, and then seeing all the sickness around. Okay, they're drinking, Pepsi all day long, and they're having, this fast food. And even though we had really great healthy homemade meals, it was still a big part of our lives, was this, new American diet and lifestyle. So I just, didn't know where to start. And that's when I started researching about food and watching documentaries. And one of my very first documentaries that I ever saw that changed my mind, it actually, oh, it was very impactful, was called Faces of Death. And I saw how they, kill animals for food, and I couldn't do it anymore. I stopped eating meat, and it was really, really hard, for me to see how animals are being treated. So there's always been this internal piece of compassion for animals for me. So it hasn't only been a journey about, just eating well. You can still be healthy and eat animal protein. So I'm not here to say that you should not or could not eat animal protein. I'm just sharing my personal
Mhm.
experience on that.
Yeah, and along your journey, so you note those 2 things as being really pivotal, and in looking back, right? When you look back, you now know, wow, that was a big part of my purpose, and wow, lettuce and tomatoes was a big part of my purpose, now that I know my purpose. But how did you come into it deeper? I remember that you did the CrossFit challenge. It's so
Yes.
funny because Anna
You're
introduced
the
me
one.
I know. Anna introduced me to boxing, and then I took off on the boxing thing, and then she was gone from it, and then I introduced her to CrossFit, and then I pieced out, and she continued on. So share about that journey that you had with that.
It's funny you say that because I was in the beginning about to say when you introduced me that we always play this ping pong with each
Mhm.
other. Like we throw the ball back and forth to each other, like, hey, boxing catch, or, whatever. And so, because of you, absolutely, it was really, this is so important for me to share. Before I went to CrossFit, when you introduced me, I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I was
Mhm.
like, for the most part, I was doing, nighttime jobs, doing bartending gigs here and there to keep my days open for modeling and acting. And I thought I wanted to be an actress. Well, I did want to be an actress, not I thought. That was my passion since I was, a little girl in school. But it wasn't fulfilling and it wasn't working out. And I took a job at a hotel and in Chicago, and I was working in banquets. And here I am dressed as a guy with a suit, like with a tie and the banquet's vest. And I'm like,
Mhm.
serving people and walking back and forth, like up and down the hallways of the hotel. And I just remember, I will never forget this, like stopping in my tracks and just looking up at the ceiling and going, God, I'm ready. I'm ready for more. Please use me, use my mind, my hands, my heart, my soul. I'm ready. What is it for me? What am I supposed to be doing? I'm ready, ready to walk right into it. And literally, it felt as if it was just like a movie for me. Like I was saying this and I would say it like every day. And then all of a sudden, from that, signing up at the CrossFit gym, signing up for this, 60-day paleo challenge where men and women signed up and there was a competition of who's going to lose the most body fat and
Which you
perform better,
won.
which I won. And I was the least likely to win because I wasn't like the largest person by
Right.
any means, but I was like so dedicated and such a geek in the kitchen. Like I
Right.
was like, wait a minute, paleo, you can't eat hummus. I can't eat chickpeas. I'm Greek and Armenian. What are you talking about? Like, I'm going to find a way to make hummus. So I got like creative and I was making paleo hummus and paleo, like, pesto sauce and all these different things. And people were dropping off like flies. Like, I cannot eat any more chicken and broccoli. Like, what are you eating? Please tell me, please share with me. Making like paleo bread and all these things. And so I ended up winning the challenge, it was really, I don't know, rewarding because I put in
Mhm.
so much effort, right?
Mhm.
And then the owner of the gym asked me, would you be willing to cook for the members of my gym? And I said, absolutely. And I was, so it just started organically. I started cooking for
Mhm.
one CrossFit gym, which then led to 10 CrossFit gyms, which was a big online delivery service food company. Like it became Paleo Fit Meals. And going back to the story at the hotel, when I was like walking down the hallways going, God, there's more for me. Please, I'm ready.
Right.
What is it? That moment was just, it always comes to me because
Yeah.
then that came out of nowhere. It literally
Oh,
was not a plan. Like I wasn't like, let me go to CrossFit and tell them that I can cook for the members of the
right.
gym. It was just
Right.
very like meant to be.
Oh,
And
man.
yeah, and it felt like I then knew what it felt like to sort of ride a wave. Like all the other things I
Yeah.
was doing, I felt like I was just crashing all the time. Like
Right.
if I could say it's symbolically felt like I was surfing and riding the best wave
Oh my
of my life.
gosh, I love that. Yeah. I remember, I mean, she was feeding me too. I was
You
ordering
were
the
trying
meals.
to tell me
Oh my
not to
God,
close.
they were amazing. Yeah, I was trying to figure out how can we keep this open. I remember Eric Martheler at
Mhm.
Lateral Fitness. I was training with him, and he the look on his face when you shifted to the paleo cookie, which is what it was initially named. The look on his face was just like, well, what are we gonna eat?
I remember that.
What are we gonna do? Like he was really just he had gotten so accustomed to knowing what he was eating and knowing that it was well sourced and healthy and paleo, of course. It was just like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do now? I mean, of course you can go to Whole Foods, the deli or something, but it's just different when you know the person that's actually preparing the food. And I loved in Mirabites that the first ingredient for so long was love, because it's so
Oh,
important in cooking, the preparation that you put into it. When you cook your own food, it just hits different. It just
yeah.
really, it has so much more of that energy. And I want to speak on the energy of this because it's so apparent, and this is exactly how I came to my purpose as well. When you are in that place And I think that it sometimes comes across to people when they're talking about their purpose that, it just was always there and you always knew and you just had to organize and put some spreadsheets together and ding dong doom, there it is. And it's not the case. I feel like when the best purposes come in, it's because of those moments, which sometimes come from a big moment of desperation. So I would almost say, I don't like it, but I would almost venture to say that an element of coming into your deepest purpose is being in that sort of place of, what the hell is going on? I can't do this anymore. It's the precursor to, this is out of control. This is so ridiculous. I mean, when I was calling out for my purpose, it was when I was driving downtown. I had, little Frank was just born. I'm driving back and forth. Rose is 3. I'm exhausted. I mean, I'm frying and shorting out my adrenals and trying to make it back and forth to this corporate job and stuff like that. And I was just like, this is not sustainable. I can't do this. This is not it. This is not what I thought that my whole life you worked to these places of having a family and this whole experience that I'm literally living in. And I was like, this isn't it. What am I even going to raise them to? What am I going to teach them to do this, to be running back and forth to a corporate job? I can't do this. This isn't it. And so
Yeah.
for me, it was very similar, and just going out into nature and crying out. When I just did Vision Quest, you go out and cry out for a vision. You go out and cry out for your life's purpose. And the crying out is very important in the Native American, in their medicine. It's very important. The crying out and saying, what in the hell am I doing? Please,
Wow. Yeah.
please show
Yeah.
me what it is. And so what I love about your story is that it has that sort of essential element of what I think is just has to be there, and it also is that you then put energy behind it. So that becomes a ritual. Anytime you do something, if it's at church, when you all come together, you light you say a prayer and then light a candle. The prayer
Yep.
is the intention and the lighting a candle is the energy behind it. Or if you pray and then you sing a song together, or if you cry out for your life's purpose and then you start to go do this 60-day challenge physically. So, we do this with yoga classes so easily where you set your intention at the beginning of class. But for some reason we don't do it when we work out. It's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing though. When you're putting out that energy and you've asked for something to become clear. I mean, for me it was, I would go out into nature and I would just say, show me, show me, show me, show me. What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? For a year. And I would be in nature and
Yes.
I would be in all these beautiful places. So I'm hiking, putting out that energy. And then I was also in a really great place to listen. And that's the other side of it that I think is really important. Crying out,
Yeah.
putting energy behind it, and then having space to listen. So if meditation isn't your thing, you can't just sit and meditate. That just doesn't jive for you. Completely get it. But
Mm-hmm.
being in nature for me was that, where the wind would answer me, or I would
Mm-hmm.
see a certain animal, or I would see a certain plant. You know what I mean? Just these little things like that. And so for you,
I
it
love
was just
that.
like right in your face. It was just like your listening was very clear, where it was all of the CrossFit gym owners saying, "Hi, we'd like you to cook our food, please."
Yeah, and then it was like the regional CrossFit televised games at Navy Pier was like, we want you to be our sole caterer for the
Oh my
entire games,
gosh.
2 years in a row. So we were like the only sole food provider for 7,000 spectators and athletes, and it was like, wow, this is incredible. But as and that was why I was when I was asking, the universe, like, use me, there's more, I have more to offer than this. It's not that what I wasn't appreciating that jobs that I've had,
Right.
but I knew there was a deeper purpose, and it
Mm,
was always going to be related to like health and wellness because of my journey, since I was a young girl. But so going into this company, it was hard work because we would cook all night long at a
right.
friend's restaurant and then be up all night and then deliver at like 6 in the morning. And I was pounding coffees, like to the point where, I mean, it was like I was an addict. I was like looking for corner coffee shops. I was resorting to gas station coffee and my standards went down. I was just
I
like,
cannot
coffee,
imagine. I
coffee.
cannot even imagine this version of you.
Exactly. Like
I
Home
knew you then,
Depot.
but still.
It's like Home Depot or whatever the other restaurant depot. Like, do they have coffee? I need coffee. It was bad. My adrenals were shot. I wasn't sleeping, and that's when I was also taking care of my mother, who was very, very ill. And she ended up being very sick for 10 long years. And I was
Mm,
her primary caretaker. So while I was starting this business, growing the business, not sleeping, being totally stressed out and adrenalized, drinking a lot of coffee, eating way too much fat, like
Mhm, mhm.
high protein, like just not enough, nutrients, not sleeping, my symptoms started to slowly develop. And at the time, I was also taking Chinese herbs, which later I came to find out they were contaminated with heavy metals, and they were
Mhm.
tested, and they, unfortunately, the doctor had been sued by someone because it was dangerously toxic. But I say all that because it was the perfect storm for a lot of illnesses to get, like for illness to, like, I don't know, to feed the
Mhm.
pathogens in my body, the stress, the adrenaline, the grief when, my mother passed away, but being in the hospitals, in and out of hospitals with her for 10 years. And then when she passed away, she was my best friend. It was literally the hardest thing that I have yet to go through. And I my health declined tremendously. And then I discovered that I had very dangerously high amounts of black mold in my place where I was living. So it was everything. And I
Yeah.
started to get sick. I was getting insomnia, restless leg syndrome. If anybody out there has been or experiences restless leg syndrome, I feel you, I see you, I hear
Mm.
you, I empathize with you. It sounds like a funny word, like funny words like restless leg syndrome. And I kind of used to make fun of it when I was little because they had commercials like restless leg syndrome. And I was like, oh, what are they going to come up with next? Restless eye syndrome. Like I was just
Right.
being silly. But it is truly like a tormenting thing to endure, because you just, every time your brain starts to fall asleep, it feels like someone has a voodoo doll on your body, and they just start like poking your legs, and I couldn't sleep because it would just wake me up and wake me up. It was torturous, and nobody knew, none of the doctors knew what it was. They're like, take more magnesium and this and that, but they couldn't do anything for me with the insomnia, the restless leg syndrome, the toxicity from the mold. I also had breast implant illness because at the time I ended up removing them, but there was a lot of things going on. And I went to so many different doctors, like different Western, integrative, holistic, Chinese. I tried different, home remedies, Greek remedies from,
Right.
family members and this and that. And honestly, nothing was helping. And I was prescribed, narcotics and benzos, and just to help get through it all. And that's a double-edged sword in itself. So a lot of things created new symptoms and new,
Yeah.
side effects. So I was getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And then it just continued. I had two concussions that caused a lot of vagus nerve inflammation that created the Epstein-Barr virus that I had. It made it worse. It wasn't letting the concussion heal. So I had chronic nausea for like 12 hours a day, every day. I couldn't lay down because it would be worse. And I remember you were just so amazing, Catherine. You'd like check in with me in the middle of the night sometimes, and I'm like, just so awful in the dark of the night. And
Yeah.
you would like do Reiki for me, like virtual Reiki, and like give me all these tools on how to stay present or how to, just get through it. You were trying so hard to give me all the, and it did help, like all the KLZ method tools of like, you know, the Kundalini yoga, just all the different things that I could do. And truly, food is so important, but it's not just food on the healing path, right? There's so many other modalities that help us on our healing journey. And I was doing everything from like chanting to, meditating,
Laughing.
laughing. I literally remember that. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was the most powerful tool and the most uncomfortable, weird
Yeah.
thing to do. It's
Right.
so foreign and so abnormal to be
The last
laughing when
thing,
you're
yeah,
in
it's
pain. You're
right.
literally in pain and you want to throw up and you're forcing yourself to laugh, but it is so powerful because it's somehow you can almost feel the change in the cells of your brain. I don't know where you feel it, but you can feel that it's changing something. It's helping you to cope with how bad it is, like
Mhm.
whatever that moment is, you know? And the other most important thing that I always try to share with people that are going through, whether it's acute illness or chronic illness, is mostly chronic because you've been sick for so long and you start to forget what it felt like to be healthy, what it
Right.
felt like to be in a body that is vibrant and thriving and it does
Doesn't hurt.
everything. Yeah, it's pain free and whatever you want it to do, it does for you and beyond. And you're just used to recovering. Like you
Mhm.
might get a UTI and then you recover, or you might get like an eye infection, like a sty, and then you get better. But so you have that in your memory, in your body, like I get better. I get
Mhm.
sick, but I get better. But then when you get hit with chronic illness, that's a whole nother level of. So I would say the most important thing that I did for myself that I share with others is remember what it felt like to be in your body when you were thriving, when you were healthy, when you were whole. Remember, don't forget that. You have to like really close your eyes, and maybe it wasn't a lot of time in your life that you felt good. There's different levels of people being sick from birth or from, a young age or later in
Right.
life, but you really just want to remember. And that's the tool that helped me because being in the present moment sometimes actually did me worse because
Right. I
the
can
present,
imagine.
the present moment was the most painful moment. I needed to think of something else to help me get through it. So whether it was remembering how good I felt and then fast forwarding into the future to like, when I get better again, this is what I envision doing. I want to be free. I want to
Right.
travel. I want to feel the grass and go in the ocean and all those beautiful things. So those are the tools that I brought in, um, along with, oh my gosh, I didn't even say medical medium, which
I
is
was just
what
gonna ask.
saved my
Right.
life.
I had it noted, don't worry.
I
Yeah, I
was,
mean, I wanna say something on this first before we go into medical medium because I know it's such a big part of your story, and I
yeah,
know we'll just be off to the races with that, but
yeah,
I wanted to just mention, and I saw you go through it. I couldn't even believe it was happening. I mean, what was it, 7 years
yeah.
that you
No,
didn't sleep?
like more. It was
I
close.
mean,
Yeah,
I would call you and you would say, "Oh man, I didn't sleep last night." And I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't, and this is just what it is. It's 7 years. 7 years of not sleeping. It's maddening. You feel like you are going mental. You
mental.
just can't believe you feel like you must not, this can't be your life. You start to shift, leave the dimension, when you have
Yes,
these kind of experiences. It's just unfathomable. And to remember or to have someone tell you, it's almost painful to say, your birthright is ease. You were born into ease. This is your natural spot. This is your natural place, is ease. This isn't real. This pain isn't real. This dis-ease is not your true reality. It's almost just like, oh my God, fuck off. I don't need to hear that right now. But that's the truth. And I wanted to ask you before we go on to medical medium. I believe that these illnesses come up because they're clearing something. Listen, if I'm not feeling well, don't remind me of this because I hate it. But I
yeah,
really do believe that when we go through these things, it's like some kind of initiation. Your spiritual body is taking you deeper, and you have to sort of purge this old way of your physical body. And so you're just purging a lot. And I've seen you go through this, and I've watched your intuitive gifts and blessings just amplify like 1,000 times. It's been absolutely stunning. At the same time, you are just there questioning in these moments alone at night when the moments are turning into like hours. And it's like, why? Just tell me why. What is up with the suffering? Why do we have to suffer? I mean, this is
yeah,
Buddhism, right? Isn't this what they
yeah.
talk about? Like,
Mhm,
why do people have to suffer? What is the point of suffering?
mm.
But there is such it goes so hand in hand for some reason. Do you have any thoughts on that or any sense on the link?
I have a lot of thoughts on that actually.
Yeah, right?
Um,
These are the musings of someone who
yeah,
has
but
been through it.
they
It's probably in my journal.
yeah, but they've morphed. My thoughts and feelings have morphed a bit through my experiences and my lifelong experiences, not just the recent. But I don't think that we are suffering on purpose. I think that the suffering exists and that we can benefit out of it if we can extract the little golden nuggets out of
Beautiful.
it. I think that we can be go through the fire and come out like diamonds. I think that we come out with this soul gold, but I don't think that, me personally, this is me, and I do believe in spirituality and manifestation and all those beautiful things. I just personally don't think that we choose to be sick and we like look for the viruses to latch onto us and make and just be like, I want to be sick because I want to learn this lesson. I mean, maybe there's like a bigger purpose that only the universe and God and above the sources beyond know. Maybe the contract I signed, had that written, but right now in my knowing human body, I don't really feel like I created that illness. I feel like we are polluting the earth, and there's so many like unfortunate pathogens in the world and viruses that we get sick from, and that there are opportunities in that sickness that we endure to grow our soul and our spirit and to become, it's like, it's really there's gifts, there's true gifts and blessings that come out of being sick. And I
Yeah.
know in the moment it does not feel like that
Right.
whatsoever, and in the moment you're like, screw that, I don't need, I don't need to know, like,
Right.
whatever,
Tapping
like,
out.
yeah, I'm tapping out, I'm throwing in the towel, I'm done with this crap, whatever was going on here. So but I do feel like there is a lot of growth. And I was always a very empathetic person and had a lot of compassion. But until I got sick personally with chronic illness, I truly went to another level with my capacity to feel empathy and compassion. It was literally now like I understand people, and I've always had this intuitive part of me where I could, an empathetic, being an empath, you can feel what other people are feeling. Like a lot of times I literally feel like I can feel what that person is going through in their body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was always so good at being next to someone's bedside when they were sick and dying in the hospital, because I could literally be their best advocate, because I could understand and feel and sense what was going on in their body. Like, oh, they need to be turned this way on the hospital bed because I can feel the organ is doing this. Like I could feel and sense
Mm-hmm.
these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but having that, my own chronic illness, it just gave me more depth
Mm-hmm.
of understanding and empathetic, just being an empath like that. It,
All right, I had to interject here. I'm interrupting my own self and my own podcast. Typical. But I had to share about the Reiki course that I've put together. It is so stellar. I'm so excited. It's going to be rolling out here shortly. And if you've ever considered doing a Reiki study to help you to go deeper into your own intuitive gifts, this is literally the one. It's all virtual and it offers so much support in video content as well as live classes with questions. It's done in a group setting with other like minded souls. So you have a Telegram chat group to really connect deeper. And one of the most important things to me in my own journey was being able to kind of compare what other people were going through as they were moving into this massive energetic shift. So that's coming up. If you're interested in more, please ping me. I'll put you on the email list and I'll make sure that you see all the information about it. Okay, back to the show. I love what you shared about that there are those lessons that are embedded in the illness if you decide to find out. So, for example, you could have someone that's just like, oh, I'm just always sick and this is just, oh, I don't even know, and mad about it and doesn't really ask the questions and doesn't do anything with it. And so that kind of sickness sort of perpetuates another kind of sickness or doesn't maybe even help you get out of that excited to try something new or looking for something. If we just stay with that, we can also evolve in that place. And I'm not trying to say that that's what you're doing. But in that whole element and that whole concept, it sort of indicates to me too that yes, it is interesting. We do want to be growing. We are open to what these lessons are. But in our growing, we don't have to constantly be so open about the place that we are that it is a lesson and that we have to do it perfectly. So for example, what I'm saying is, yes, I'm not well. What are the reasons? I'm open to it. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to ask about it. I'm going to do the things I can do. I'm going to listen to the guidance. I'm going to change some things. But maybe the next day I'm going to fucking feel sorry for myself.
Mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah.
And it's not to say that, oh, well, you're off the healing journey because you're feeling sorry for yourself. This kind of work is no joke.
Oh, yeah.
When you're bringing your physical body and you're bringing suffering in, you're not
Yeah.
off course because you have a pity party or because you choose to
Yes.
not connect with your guides that day. It's
Mhm.
completely fine. I think that, I was joking with Meg Sylvester about this, about hustle culture healing. We don't need to we have hustle culture in every element of our lives now. We don't need to hustle culture healing as well. We don't need to do
Mm.
that. We
That's
can
so
just
good.
be where we are and be one step in front of the other. Today
Yeah.
all I'm going to do is be in pain, or maybe I'm going to take an
Mhm.
ibuprofen or whatever the hell it is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Today maybe
Yeah.
I'm not going to do all my protocol or whatever because I just need to freaking be in ease. But I think that ease and forgiveness and grace of ourselves sometimes gets undervalued. At least it has been for the recent times. And I see a lot of us now shifting to just like, you know what? I'm going to do what the hell I want to do. And I don't need to worry that if I let myself feel sorry for myself one day that I'm not on my healing journey.
Oh, I love
So,
that you're saying that because it's so important to be self-compassionate. Like, there's
mm,
so much we give to others, but sometimes we just can get frustrated with ourselves because we're not doing something 100%. And so we start to
mhm,
beat ourselves up. Or, like you said, just let yourself be in it. There's days
right.
when I literally would just cry. I
Yeah,
just cried out of despair and, feeling so close to before I learned about medical medium information and the hope to heal, that you can truly heal these things. I felt depressed. I was in a
right,
depression. I felt despair. I thought, no one can help me. Is this what my life is going to be
yeah,
forever now, for the rest
right.
of my life? Because, okay, 6 months, 6 weeks, something, you get sick and you recover, but like years,
I
you're
know,
just like, whoa, like this is my life at this age. Like I can't even enjoy my gifts that I've been given, or
right,
I can't do the things that I've dreamt about. And that's what I saw from a young age, is seeing my brother. He always dreamed of having a boat, and he loved playing ice hockey, and he had a business sense, really great business sense. And he was never able to do those things.
right.
And I look at that, and that's why I feel so passionate about helping people heal, because that's when you get your life back and you can use the gifts you've been given to fill out your life's dreams. And the reason why you were put here on this planet at this time, as you say, our precision, I'll let you say it, your precision
Our high
tool.
precision tool, our body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Using that as a tool so that we can really anchor into the reason that we are here on this planet right now. I mean, because this time on Earth is just no joke, and we're making massive changes, and it's just essential that we let ourselves be in that space of making that change. It just doesn't happen overnight. And so, yeah, if you're listening to this and you're on a calls at Mattress Island, if you're listening to this episode on Mattress Island and you're just like, oh my God, this is my life is this mattress, I can't even go do any of the things that I want to do. It's hard when you're in the present moment experiencing part of your journey, which your journey isn't complete yet.
Yes.
It's not the end of the story. This is like, when Julia Roberts and the whatever George Clooney meet the person, and then it's, there's always that low moment that cultivates the next chapter. And so much love and empathy if you are in that place. I completely get it. We all kind of are moving through those places in different ways all the time. Just if this was the end of this story right now, it's not really how I want it to end.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, it doesn't define you, and it isn't the end of your journey. And also that depression, you and I have spoken about this. Depression, sometimes it's just such a good tool to see yourself depressed. It's what was that quote? I think Jim Carrey said something about depression is when your life no longer fits you. It's a depressed version of your life. And so it's time to step into something new. And what is the something new? Well, geez, we don't know yet. Sorry. Like that's the fun of it. You get to go
Right.
find it. But it's a really big indication. And so just honoring, my daughter tells me, Mom, there are no bad emotions. I'm like, what? Who taught you
It's
this?
because, oh, you
They all give us the indications that we need. They all tell us the information that we need to make the changes or the understandings or whatever it might be. So
That's so
it's
true. I love that
it's
you
cool.
said that, because it's also our bodies communicate with us. They give
Mm,
us data, the symptoms of whatever physical symptom you're going through is also information and
Yep.
data, like what you were going through with your hives. But I just want to make the story a little more cohesive, because when I had the paleo, meal service company, and I initially thought that I was really doing great with my stomach, and because I eliminated so many processed foods. So initially I was doing better, but then I started getting more sick and more sick as time went on. And as I was praying and praying, like, for the some healing information to come to me, when I was divinely led to the medical medium information, it was through an integrative doctor who told me about his first book, Chronic Illnesses and How to Heal. And I read the book for the first time, and I felt like that was me. And I finally understood and had the answers to heal. And it brought me so much hope, because feeling so depressed to like, there's no help. No one's
Right.
able to give me any answers. Why am I going through this? They
Right.
literally were like, I don't know what to tell you. And so having that information, it I realized what I've learned through medical medium with food is that I initially was doing fine with paleo, but then I started getting sick and sick and sick, because it's not about being plant-based or animal protein based. You can still be vegan and be unhealthy. It's
Right.
about how you eat as a vegan and how you eat when you have animal protein. So that's what I love about it. It's not a one size fits all. You can customize, to your lifestyle and what you want to do, but there is there are foods that are known to be pathogen feeders that help keep the bugs alive in our bodies. And so when we don't eat those, we starve out the pathogens, we starve out the viruses, the molds, the bacterias, the just all the stuff that we have in our bodies. And that's what I love about it, is that you can still eat a certain way and still heal.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was a big thing, because I thought, oh, paleo is the answer, and
Right.
it was for a minute. But
Right.
then when I realized, oh, it's not just paleo, it's that these foods are the healing foods, and these foods are the pathogen bug feeders.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I love about it, is like learning more about food. And one of his books that I love, that is a great book for people to start with, it's called Life Changing Foods. And it has, you would love this book, Catherine. I'm surprised I didn't send it to you yet, but it had,
Force me to read it.
yeah, no, it's actually a fun book. It's not like a heavy medical book or anything. It just talks about all the different healing foods, and they're like what they heal in the body. But then they have this like spiritual aspect to every um, like piece of fruit or wild herb or
No,
whatever.
I love
So
that.
yeah, it's really, really cool. So that's where I wanted to just go back to that, so that I can explain how medical medium is what started to like bring me that hope, and I started seeing healing. And then, you know,
Yeah.
here I am.
Here you are. I
That's when
mean,
I
and
said
here I am.
I have to spread the gospel. I'm like, I
Yeah.
have to help, I have to share, even if it's one person that can benefit from learning about this, because there's so many people around me that are like, oh, I keep going to the doctor, and I don't know why this is happening to me. And I share the information in hopes that they can really stay open to it and benefit from truly healing from the root.
And learning and educating and coming deeper into that connection with their body. I mean, she's not really giving as much. She's saying if she can heal and help one person, but Anna has helped and healed so many more than one person in such a profound way. This work isn't just about removing the dis-ease. This work is about, for me personally, when I went through this situation with chronic hives, it was an activation for me. So
Mm,
to think that you're
perfect.
helping people to just not be uncomfortable or unhealthy or in pain or whatever, itch their skin off until they want to go light themselves on fire and throw themselves into the street, which was what my situation was.
Oh
That's
gosh.
one thing, but there are other layers to it. And you're
Yeah.
activating people deeper into their own connection with their spiritual blessings and gifts. And so you're making this whole powerful, you know, I don't want to say army, but you're making this whole powerful new level of of living for people.
Yeah.
Anna has hosted a few of the 9-day medical medium guided juice cleanses, and it was so amazing. She did this with a group of people, and it was all virtual. And she would talk us through what groceries to buy, what to do, and then of course, you all start the thing. And you're like, yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to be so clean. This is going to be amazing. And of course, you get into it, and you're just like, wait, what? I have to chew all of this? I can't chew anymore. My jaw is going to fall off. And she has so many amazing different
Tips.
suggestions and ideas, and she knows this stuff so well in and out, because of having to have had experience with it in such a profound way. So her insight and knowledge and deep wisdom and intuitive abilities are just off the charts. And so it's not just a 9-day medical medium guided juice cleanse with a bunch of
Yeah.
people, which is amazing too, that you have the group of people, because then you're all in there whining about, I just want to feel the crunch of a Dorito right now.
You always talked about the Doritos.
Doritos just get me for some reason. I must have like
I
some
love
really emotional connection to Doritos or
totally.
something.
I loved Doritos when I was little. I loved them.
It must have been like I ate them when I was soothing, because all that stuff stores in your body, and then when you're like
Yes.
the saying is like, when you're craving something, it's your body whining because it wants that thing
It's the
of the emotion.
pathogens
Yeah.
whining as they're like getting thrown out, as they're dying off. They're like, no, Doritos. Like,
If
um,
you just give me one crunch, I can sustain myself longer, please.
yes, yes. No, but you're so right about that. The medical medium cleanses help you detox all the pathogens, even the things in our brain. Our
Yeah.
brain has so much toxicity in it that it
Mm.
causes depression, anxiety, OCD, bipolar, like
ADHD.
ADHD, even eating disorders, just a bunch of stuff. So when you say that you get elevated, you do actually clear
Right.
so much out of you that you do become more enlightened. You do become more, um, I don't know, it's more spiritual and more
Hmm.
intuitive and all of that. So they are very, very powerful, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally,
Right.
spiritually. And I do offer a 3-day, because some people feel intimidated by doing a 9-day, clear liver
Right.
cleanse, especially when they're first starting out. So I thought, let's do something for people that are beginners. They want to sort of see what it feels like and what it looks like to do 3 days where they're not feeling like they're committing to something that is going to be too overwhelming,
Right.
so they can get a sense of what that's like. And it's basically just removing a lot of the pathogen feeder foods, which is what
Hmm.
Anthony William refers them to. But it also allows you to get a sense of what that might be like, so that if you
Yeah.
want to do an actual 9-day liver cleanse, you can. So yeah, and then so there's different ways of that I love to help people. I have a pantry rehab, which is basically helping people learn what these ingredients actually mean on labels, because there's a lot of marketing madness and all these like hidden ingredients that they find sneaky ways of. Just, I know, because I was in the food manufacturing, like, uh, business. So when we
Right.
used to produce our cookies, they
Right.
tried to get us to buy natural flavors instead of
Right.
pure vanilla extract. And I was like, well, what's in that? And they couldn't get answers for me. And that's basically hidden MSG. And they caught on that people are not wanting to put these things in their bodies. So they had to start removing MSG from labels and started putting them in sneakier ways on
Hmm.
packaging. So things like that is just helping people learn how to read labels and decipher what's actually good for them and what's not, and giving people modifications and substitutions
Right.
so that they don't feel like they have deprivation, that they're not being deprived of the foods they love. They can still enjoy eating and
Right.
just have, because your food is only as healthy as the ingredients that you use.
Right.
So that's one thing. And then grocery tours is always fun for me, because I love grocery shopping, and it's nice to have someone there where I can walk them through the store and help them understand, like, the choices and why you should pick this over this, and um, to cater to their lifestyle needs as well, because not everybody's going to be 100% medical medium compliant. They just want to,
Right.
like, maybe start eating a little healthier, change a few things. Maybe they just want to cut only gluten out, and they're like, I don't know what good gluten-free products there are out there,
Hmm.
because there are so many and there used to not be any,
Right.
especially when I started my company years ago. And now there's so many, but I've tasted a lot of them, and I can tell you
Right.
which ones taste good
Well,
and
right,
are
and
worth
that's
their
part of it.
dollars and which ones
Yeah,
are
because you spend $10 on a loaf of bread, you don't really have people don't have the resources or the, ability just mentally to try this loaf of bread this time, and I mean, you've given up after after $20 loaf of bread too, it's just like, "Okay, I'm over it." And that's I mean,
exactly.
I just have to speak on this a little bit too to make sure that it's really coming clear because it's just so powerful. I was doing my Reiki certifications. I was doing my Kundalini training, and then I did this juice cleanse, and it changed my whole life. I mean, it just elevated me like 1,000%. It's unreal. Um, and I've spoken about how supportive Anna is, and making different suggestions and things like that, and having the wisdom and the knowledge and that kind of thing. I love the 3-day guided group cleanse because it's like a group guided cleanse light. You get to
Yeah.
know and trust and see what it's like to work with Anna in an easier way. So if it's like you're a little bit afraid of, man, 9 days sounds like a long time, or it's a lot of grocery shopping or whatever it might be, it's a really great way to get to know her, get to know medical medium, get to know the way that your body responds to it in a supported way. Because when I was going through some of these things, Anna was like, "Oh, you just need get this book," and so I would get the book. I'm like, "I'm not reading this." So, I mean, and I would read a little bit, but the way that she has studied this material, and it's like she doesn't even need the book anymore. She just knows, "Oh, this is good for that, and this is good. You can substitute this for that." There's things that aren't even in the book that she's aware of, and is able to suggest and guide with. And it's just, I'm like, I'm not reading this book. Can you just do it for me? And spending time with her just in our friendship and going to the grocery store or going to restaurants, I have absorbed so many things, and she has absorbed so many of my eye rolls as I'm like, I'm eating peanut butter. I can't stand almond butter. Okay, this is just going to be one of the things. I'll do some of it, but I can't be this in it. But it's been so powerful to really get an idea of what is citric acid, what is, like you said, natural
Natural
flavoring, these
flavors,
kind of
yeah.
things. When you see them, you don't know. And it is all the things that we learn in school, and all the ways that marketing has now really gotten crafty about being able to sneak this garbage, in the US especially, our food is just so contaminated. And
Mhm.
I wanted to speak on this a little bit earlier too. When you come back to your health, there are just so many things that are in our environments that prevent us from being in our natural state of ease. We were born in this body. Our soul came into our body. We came into this world and immediately started getting shots, and immediately started with the programming and the, whatever, the fluorescent lights, the air and the environment, all this kind of stuff. And so if you're not doing something to sort of counteract that, or you're not stopping and just doing these cleanses, like my liver and I are so connected now. I can
Mhm.
feel it communicating to me. I did one of these meditations, like a visualization for KLZ
Yeah,
method with your liver, just to put your hands there and connect with it. It's such an amazing organ. It's the second brain, don't they call it? Or is that the intestines? I can't ever remember.
the gut, they talk about the gut, but
The gut being the second
yeah.
brain.
Mhm. Well, but
Yeah.
the liver has, like, 2,000 functions that people don't even know about, like, it's amazing what it does for us. It's literally our best friend, but we just don't know it.
And I never even knew where it was, to be honest. I know that's embarrassing. I just didn't, what? I don't know. All these things are in there. It's like you have a user manual for your iPhone and you know every damn detail of everything, but you have this body, this high precision tool that you ride around with. And I say it's the most advanced technology on the planet. And we're not even using it to its full capability. So when we step back and we actually like take care of what we're doing and what we have here, when we step back and feed it and let it clear and give it good sunlight and do all these kind of things, you step into this amplified way of living, and it's just you're able to do things next level, all of it. Why wouldn't you want that? Because of
I
Doritos? I mean, it is a good argument. I do argue the Doritos.
Oh my gosh, the way you describe that is just so perfect, so spot on. So, so, so spot on.
I love it. I mean, and so just to wrap up, because we will go on and on and on if we're not
Yeah.
careful here, but just to wrap up, I'm so happy to have Anna come on and just to share this. It's something that's obviously gets me all geeked up, and just so grateful for how she's supported me,
And
and
how
now
you've
that she's
supported me. Sorry to interrupt, but I had to say that.
it's a true friendship.
Yeah.
But all of her offerings that she's done this 9-day guided group cleanse for a while. She's added the 3-day guided group cleanse. Are you doing that anytime soon? Please say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So you can contact Anna for more information on that. She does the health consultations. She'll go on a grocery tour with you. You can jump on, a FaceTime call, and she'll go through your pantry with you and just gently, I will say gently. I mean, I've been through it, and she is very kind and understanding. You don't feel judged. It's just gently going through things and starting to learn. You don't need to know it all right now. There's no overwhelm. It's just beginning to step into this relationship. Um, you know, Now. Why wait?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything? Of
No.
course, we agree with ourselves. Anything else
No.
to add beyond that?
No, I mean, there's just so many wonderful documentaries out there to watch. But like you said earlier, just because we're talking about the label reading and stuff, is how in America they put so much more junk in our food that they
Yeah.
don't do in Europe because they're banned ingredients. They're not even
Right.
allowed to be used in food. But for some reason, they just put them all in our food. And we wonder why everybody is obese and sick. And just, I had a friend who visited me from Greece, and she ate less food here than she did in Greece, and she
And
was
gained weight.
consistently gaining weight. And she said, I'm sorry, but I got to leave. I'm going back to Greece. Like, I can't do this. I cannot be here eating less food and gaining weight. She's like, what are
Right.
you guys putting in your food? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. But, at the time I didn't know. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's such a thing, like a real thing that people
It's so
experience.
true. I've had a lot of folks from South America tell me the same thing. It's like I'm gaining weight just from drinking the water.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
truly. I mean, Anna just made me get this Berkey
Yeah.
water filter.
Okay.
She'd been telling me for 2 years to get it. I was like, "All right, fine, I'll get it." But I mean, there's just so many different things, and
Yeah.
just starting slowly with it and
Yes.
moving in the right direction, because there's good reason on the other side. There's so many positive opportunities, and spring is springing, and it's time for a new year. So why not just come into your, most elevated, highest self, stepping into your purpose with food, with knowing more information, with this amazing, lovely, fun human being. I'm so grateful to
Oh,
call you my friend.
oh, you too, my soul sister. Happy to chat with anyone. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, whether it's on my Instagram or my website. So love you so much, Catherine. Thank you for having me.
Love you too. That was the amazing Anna Hagopian from Anna Hagopian Health. You can connect with her through her website, www.annahagopianhealth.com, www.annahagopianhealth.com. You can also send her an email at annahagopian@gmail.com, and you can connect with her on Instagram at Anna Hagopian Health. Reach out to her about more information on her pantry rehab, her grocery tours, her health consultations, and her 3-day guided group cleanse for beginners that's coming up right around the corner. Thanks for being with us today on this episode. If you connected with it, or if you know someone that really would connect with it, I would love it so much if you would share it with them. This is how we can grow this podcast and share this vision of deep purpose and coming back to our truth with more people. Sending you so much love always, and see you soon.